The Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. Krystal Quagliara discusses with us how we can reclaim our vitality and truly feel alive in the new year in 2023.
Yes, so I have it here. It's available on Amazon or on that other page we talked about. And it's for every day of the year. Like, this thing is sort of like, it's got some weight to it. You're not going to lose this. This isn't getting tossed underneath some, chair somewhere. I mean, you will definitely, I feel, use this hopefully every day. And like I said, every day has an affirmation. It's week by week. So the goal is to prompt you to get into the habit of saying this affirmation every day for at least 7 days. And then a spot to track, are you doing something for your mind, for your body, for your spirit, and others? So, is it a connection or a relationship or, just something like that? The things like just kind of check those boxes, right? We check all those other boxes. So these are the important ones to check, I think.
The Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. The Healing Through Love podcast with host Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson would love to acknowledge Global Glamping Charities Incorporated for generously supporting this podcast. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all of its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org.
Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Hello, our amazing guest today is Krystal Quagliara. If she's still smiling, it means I got the name right. She's a playfulness expert in the health and wellness coaching industry. As the author of a live journal, 2023, we're going to hear more about that later on, The Playful Journey, and host of the podcast, A Playful Life, with 17 years experience in coaching, in and around play, and ingrained into Krystal's methodology. By incorporating this concept into her work, she's been able to help her clients feel alive. And isn't that how we all want to feel alive? Alive is an acronym for actively living in vitality every day. She's speaking my language. She's high-vibing. Live the life of freedom, because that's what we're all looking for. She meets them where they are because she understands that not everyone is at that point in their journey. I'm looking forward to diving in deep to what Krystal has to say today. Hello, Krystal. How are you?
Hi, Sharlene. I'm amazing. How are you?
It's magnificently magnificent. We're here in Adelaide, South Australia, in Australia. It's summer. I've just finished my summer photo shoot. It's 16 degrees. Now, that's cold. Even in Fahrenheit or Celsius, it's still cold.
Yes.
And, it was very interesting this morning to look really warm while I'm currently turning blue. So, yeah. Now, it is, what time of the year is it for you guys? You're coming into winter.
Yes, I'm in Chicago, and it is 11 p.m. here. So, and we actually, for the first time today, didn't have snow, but we've been having just like flurries of snow here on and off for like last week. So we had some sunshine today, so that was good.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And how beautiful is it that we can connect? It's 3:30 in the afternoon here in Adelaide and 11 p.m. there. And yet it's like we're still talking in the same time zone. I love it. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got to work in and around fun? Because it's a fun subject, but how did you get there?
Well, Charlene, I wish I could say that I was born like this and always had a very playful spirit. But in fact, I always took myself entirely too seriously. And I was, I like to call myself a recovering codependent and a recovering perfectionist. Both of those things very much ruled my life for most of my childhood, adolescence, young adulthood. And, one of the ways that I learned play, which is very interesting, during a period of my life where I was getting outside myself, I started coaching. I started teaching fitness classes, dance classes, all that stuff to kind of pay for college and all that. And I noticed this really big difference between the children that I would teach and the adults. And I even had very different times, but I had a class of 3 and 4-year-olds. And then immediately following, I had a class of adult women. I taught them the women belly dance. And when the little kids were in the room, they were just there. They had fun. They were making faces in the mirror. They didn't care what they looked like. They didn't care if they were doing it right or wrong. It was just something their mom brought them to. They were there for an hour and and they left and they didn't think probably anything about it. They didn't think, oh, I made a fool of myself. And the women, a lot of them needed almost like a drink, an alcoholic beverage before they'd come to the class because they were so apprehensive about the whole thing and judging themselves in the mirror and, oh, I can't get this right. And, oh, I'm never gonna, get this. And just seeing that very vast difference and realizing that it was a playful mindset that children have and that ability to just get lost in the moment, just do the activity for the sake of doing it and finding the fun in it and letting go of the outcome rather than having so many expectations, and especially that perfectionism that high achieving people often bring to things. So that was sort of where it all began. And digging into that a little bit more and figuring out, well, how can I make this more playful for the adults? How can I incorporate at least this attitude into the time we're together so that hopefully this kind of transcends into the rest of what they're doing. And it's grown from there.
I love it. As one recovering perfectionist to another. And I'm also a dance teacher. So I teach belly dance here in Adelaide. I used to, in my youth, write choreography and teach. Now, at 56, I'm no longer writing choreography and teaching. But now I still perform, though. Most weeks I dance with a dance troupe. And just to see the joy that dance brings to people that are observing it is, and I think as a dancer, we want to get it perfect. It doesn't really matter. As long as we're turning up and having fun, that's what really the audience is looking for. And you're right. So I teach Bollywood, which is very specific, hands, feet, everything's got to be going a specific way. And we do need to bring a level of laughing at ourselves into there because things go all the wrong directions most of the time. And I love that. I love that personal story about how you saw the children having fun and how the adult women struggled to lean into what was offered to them, which is a connection to your body and being feminine and just really enjoying the process of learning because they're so driven by the outcome of making sure that they're ticking the boxes and getting it right. So, wow. So then how did you progress then from this space of having that level of awareness with the kids and realizing what the adults needed was fun? How did you work that into your coaching programs?
Well, I think we so often want to teach what we most need to learn. I will say that it is absolutely something that I needed to learn in my personal life. And it took me a good long while to discover that I was doing that same thing, maybe not in the dance room, but I was doing it in the way I was driven in my career, the things I was pursuing. It was a lot of, like you said, sort of ticking those boxes, but they were boxes that other people had set for me or that I thought other people had set for me, those expectations that I thought my family had or my husband had for me. And it took a while to really look inside and say, well, what does Krystal want? What is driving me? What makes me feel alive and vital? And what is the purpose? I don't know if it's like mid 30s. I just had sort of like this spiritual awakening and realized that like I'm not going to be on this planet for an indefinite amount of time, and there's one life and this is it. And if I don't take control of it, then who's going to do it? Because that was very much the message that I was teaching in fitness and personal training and health, and all this was like, take control of your health. You only have one body, but like it wasn't clicking yet for me in like the mental and emotional spiritual way. So once that did, Sharlene, I was able to just put it together and understand that mindset really went so much further than just like the physical things that we do or put in our body or how we move. It's really like a way of living and a way of thinking.
It's so true. Fun has a unique frequency. It's lighter, it's higher, it's up there closer to gratitude and love and joy. And when we live at those higher frequencies, things that ordinarily may knock us back, just we're not affected by, because we can see that we're not taking it so seriously and that we are having fun in the process. And we're more connected to the journey than we are to the outcome when we're living in that space of fun. I love, Krystal, that you said we teach what we need to learn. So I'm an alignment coach, and I teach people how to unpack their intellectual property. And how I ended up here is because that's what I needed. I, as an ADHD, was like all over the place for most of my coaching career, like experts in all of these things, not jack of all trades, master of none. And it wasn't until I dove in to understand my journey and what I deliver, which is what an alignment coach does, and get the absolute clarity, that I realized, actually, this is what other people need to do. So isn't that interesting that we teach most what we have embraced on our journey of evolution? Yeah, I just love it. And it really speaks to what's happening on this planet at this time, is that people are leaning into, the gig economy. They're leaning into their side hustles. They're leaning out of the normal 9 to 5, and they are leaning into having fun. And
yes.
And moving into understanding that this life is, you're here for a short time and a good time, so let's have fun. And I love that. I love that. So you saw the difference there between the adults and the children, and then now you've moved this into your coaching process, and you concentrate in on around the fun process. Can you expand on the alive process?
Yes. So a big part of it is, you hit it, gratitude. And that's something I preach to all my clients. I talk about it a lot, but like you said, in being able to surrender, because it kind of gets you into that space of like, what are you grateful for in this moment? And it allows you to have that different perspective. And I really do believe it is all perspective. And when you're in the moment and you have a choice, right? You have a choice in the matter. You can react this way or this way. You can react with love and gratitude, or you can get angry and frustrated. But it's all basically a judgment that we have of whatever situation is in front of us. And so a big part of the journal that I put out for the next year is prompting people to get in the practice of that gratitude. And the other component of it is affirmations, believe it or not. Just as silly and simple as that sounds, it's reprogramming the affirmations that we've already been telling ourselves over and over again. Because I think when we hear that word affirmation, we go, oh yeah, we think, oh, I am beautiful, I am this, I am that. And that's part of it. But I think it's more important to understand what we're already saying. What's the internal dialogue that's already happening? Mm-hmm. And is it kind? Is it loving? Is to ourselves? And again, how are we judging ourselves in that moment? How are we seeing ourselves? And can we flip that perspective and sort of change up that internal dialogue?
Absolutely, Krystal. You're speaking my language. I think that we could sit around and have a cup of coffee. Well, actually, this is hot chocolate, but sit around and have a hot chocolate the rest of the day. Yes, and it's 11 o'clock for you, so that won't be happening. We'll be sitting here till breakfast. So true that we bring to the table all of these stories, these patterns that keep us in this lower frequency, and we need to have that pattern interrupt. And a journal, I love it. A journal is a really beautiful way to have that pattern interrupt, to lift that level of awareness between what it is that you're saying about yourself to yourself, and also what are these stories that you're telling yourself. For the listeners, I did the inverted columns there, commas. So the stories that you're telling yourself over and over again that are keeping you in these low frequency patterns. Absolutely. I love it. And journaling that gives you the opportunity to see the patterns emerge so that you can make different choices with your life. But we do need to have that space between thought and action. I'm an absolute believer in affirmations and visualization. When I first started them, though, what I did notice is and I'm going to say a big word, the great degree of cognitive dissonance. Okay. So the amount of resistance in my body, in my brain, to saying something which I knew wasn't true. So yes, and it's that cognitive dissonance that we need so that we can move forward. And, the affirmations are very powerful, not just to reprogram your reticular activating system. Oh, boom, another big word. But basically, that's just your filter system in your brain. We need these so that we can reprogram. And what I'd ask the listeners to listen to today and to be aware of, if you are saying affirmations and you feel that degree of resistance, is that's where you need to put your attention, is what's that resistance and how can you shift that? What can you say, do to help just that move 1%, just 1%? And it can be just a change in language. I'm on my way to, I am moving towards, I am, and you can use yet. Use some language, use some thought processes that can help you move towards that until you can be in a space where you can fully embrace saying, well, I am success, I am abundance, whatever your affirmations are. But, it comes with that level of awareness. I love, Krystal, what you're talking about. You're speaking my language, and we need to understand, listeners, if you're here today, you've got a curiosity about making a better life, moving forward, changing some patterns and living a fully fun life, if you're listening to us today. And that starts with you having that level of awareness. And I love it. That's what the journaling's all about. Mine's got pretty flowers on it.
Oh, I love it.
And yours is a beautiful journey for 2023. So can you tell us a little bit more about the journal?
Yes. So I have it here. It's available on Amazon or on that other page we talked about. And it's for every day of the year. Like, this thing is sort of like, it's got some weight to it. You're not going to lose this. This isn't getting tossed underneath some, chair somewhere. I mean, you will definitely, I feel, use this hopefully every day. And like I said, every day has an affirmation. It's week by week. So the goal is to prompt you to get into the habit of saying this affirmation every day for at least 7 days. And then a spot to track, are you doing something for your mind, for your body, for your spirit, and others? So, is it a connection or a relationship or, just something like that? The things like just kind of check those boxes, right? We check all those other boxes. So these are the important ones to check, I think. And then again, a place to practice gratitude, a place to practice wins. So often I see that I think it becomes difficult for people to stick with something. And I talk about habit stacking a lot and forming these habits and practicing them, right? Letting go of the outcome and surrendering. But part of that is you have to see something working in order to stick with it. And so it's really easy to say, well, I've been, eating right for a week. How come I don't have any results? Or I've been exercising. I don't feel any stronger. My endurance doesn't seem any better. But when we really look at the small wins along the way, even just celebrating, showing up for yourself and going for that walk, I mean, that's something to celebrate. So celebrating the wins along the way, I think is a great way to push us forward. Like you said, sort of moving towards those things that are becoming true for us as we're saying those affirmations and saying, oh yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, look at that win. I use the example of like, somebody who never ate vegetables before or something, and they try it, every day they're saying something like, I eat well for my body. And then all of a sudden one day they make a choice to eat something healthy, and then they go, oh, strange. But if they're not tracking that, there's no way of, remembering that. There's no way it registers in your brain. So I think it's very important to be able to look back on the day and see what you did well. Give yourself a little round of applause. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
So this journal is all encompassing. So it not only will give you journal prompts, which are important if you haven't been journaling, if you're new to journaling, or even if you've been doing it for a while and you're still not seeing the outcome you're looking for, a journal with journal prompts is a great way to go. And embedding those levels of affirmations into your daily habits, what got us where we are right now is a series of bad habits. So we need some positive practices to help us move forward. And this will definitely embrace those and help you shift the way that you're seeing things so that you can move forward. I love it. And it's all done there for you. All you need to do is fill in the blanks. Literally, there's lines and you just need to fill in the blanks. Now we've got a URL that you can that you'll find above us. Depends where you're watching us, on YouTube, or on Facebook or on podcast, but it'll be in the show notes as well. And this link will take you through to the journal. But also, we've got a freebie. Krystal, can you please take our listeners through the freebie too, please?
Yes, I'm so excited about this. So at the beginning of the year, January 2nd, it's the Monday, since the 1st is a Sunday. So I thought, well, let's start this on the Monday. It's 21 days. I find that it's a good chunk of time to commit to something and get in a habit of changing your way of thinking. And it's just that, Sharlene, it's exposing people to the idea of habits, talking about why they're important, talking about how to implement them into their lives, talking about the importance of affirmations, just really digging in a little bit deeper. Also bringing in some special guests to talk about some of the habits that they've created in their lives and how that's helped them and some of the struggles that they've had with that, because I find that if we're all alone on this journey, it could be even more difficult than it needs to be. So, just creating that community and giving people the chance to have somebody hold your hand as you're starting off your year and getting into it, I think can lead to some better lasting success for people.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And it is all about fun, because we're here for such a short period of time. Our lives are really not that long in the spectrum of everything. And why not have fun? And if this is an area that you need to work on, then really Krystal is the person to do it with, because she's all about fun. She's come from a place of not so much fun to understanding that fun is the vehicle to get you where you need to go. And her Alive program can help you shift and move towards living a more, happy life, really. Isn't that what we all want? I love the journal, and the journal goes for 356 days. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's a whole 12-month journal. And then the program, the thing that you're offering for free, is that 21 days?
It is 21 days. Yeah.
Excellent. And so it's the same link. You'll find both lots of information there, which is amazing. Yes. So now, how long have you been working in and around this area of fun and the Alive process?
Yeah. So Alive is sort of the word that came to me for the next year. Prior to that, it was always focused on habits and discipline and the playfulness. And what I really discovered is that's what it is. Like, that's what people want. I really thought about, well, what is the thing that people are really searching for? It's to feel alive. It's to feel like you're not just walking through the day like a zombie, or going to some job that you hate, or in a relationship that isn't fulfilling. And, all these things that I think we settle into, and we think, oh, well, this is just my life. This is how I have to accept it. And it's really kind of like, let's flip the table, and see what's underneath, and see what really what your heart has on it as some dreams and ambitions. And like you said, life is short, and we only got one go around as far as I know. So
I love it. And, look, I think fun, we misinterpret it. It's not just about listening to jokes or telling jokes, or it's about just being lighthearted. It's about not taking things so seriously. It's about seeing the funny side in something that maybe, when we're taking it so seriously, we are unable to do. It's about lightening up. It's about really, not being attached to the old stories of who you were, and really like attaching your heartstrings to the possibilities of a life that you could have. It's a great place to be, and it also makes you a more likable person, just quietly. So if you're feeling a little lonely, and this is like at work or even in your friendship circles or your family circles, is that when you reach into the Alive process and having a little bit more fun, you become a nicer person to hang around, just saying. And so
I
this
completely agree.
this means that you create community around you, and this will help you feel fulfilled, and it really is very impactful for your growth and for moving forward. So I love all of the aspects of the Align process and everything that it brings to the table, and I love everything that Krystal does. It's so exciting. So Krystal, I have to ask, what are the things that you do to have fun?
I actually really love to perform. I am a bit of like a ham, I guess you would call it. But I love to be on stage. I love to sing. And that was sort of a big part of it, was that I had lost that part of me. Always as a child, I loved being on stage and, dancing and being in theater and all those things. And then I thought, at some point I have to get a real job and be an adult and just forget about all those pipe dreams. And so walking away from a comfortable 9 to 5 and sort of, like you said, getting thrust into more of the gig economy and being more self-employed allowed me to start singing with some bands. And my husband and I sing, and I love, love, love that. It musically fills me up. But for somebody who maybe doesn't want to get on stage and sing, I also just love to dance. A couple times a week, I'll just put on music and just dance around the house. Just do fun things like that. I just love it. I'm that adult that you'll see at the park. I don't have any children yet. I have one on the way, actually, which I'm very excited about. But I'm that adult that goes to the park and swings on the swings and goes down the slide. My husband and I will, go do stuff like that, because there's no sign up that says you have to be under a certain age to use the park. So, just anything like that, that, feels like it's going to feed my spirit. I feel like I'm more willing to just say yes to those experiences that I want, instead of judging myself or having a judgment of what somebody else is going to think about me, or, I don't know any of these people. Who's ever going to see me again?
It's so true, Krystal. And I think that speaks a lot to the adult condition, where we think that we have to take ourselves so seriously, because now we're a grown up. And I think we lose something in that transition between being a child, being a teenager, being even a young adult, and then moving into, over 20s, over 30s, now for me, over 50s. Is that we think we've got the weight of the world on our shoulders and we've got so much to bear. Yes, and do we really? We've put these stories there. So can we choose a different story, one that's lighter, freer, and more fun-filled and joyful? And yeah, we can. And using the Align process and the journals and everything that Krystal has to offer is the way to get you where you need to go. I love it, Krystal. As I said, I could sit and chat with you for hours.
I'll have to do this again.
We will have to do it again. So just listeners, just to reiterate, so Krystal has a 21-day free offer, and that link is in the show notes and above and below, depending where you're watching today's show from. And also in that link, you'll find access to her beautiful journal, which is really all you need to do is just fill in the lines, fill in the dots, really, fill in the spaces so that you can move towards a more empowered life. Krystal, do you have any farewell words to our listeners today?
I just have so much gratitude in my heart for you, Sharlene. And I just love how my higher power brings me together with people like you. And it just makes me very hopeful, I think, to see that no matter where we are in the world, there are people, like, we're so far apart, but you are, we're on the same wavelength, as you said, and we're, out there, and other people who are listening and watching your content want this for their life too. And I think that brings me a lot of hope as well, in such a crazy world that we live in, just seeing that people are aware that there's something better and something different that they can choose for themselves.
I love it, Krystal. Absolutely love it. And listeners, today, once a year in May here in Adelaide, South Australia, we have our Pamper Day. That's where we create an entire day spa experience, head massages, facials, neck and shoulder massages, hair, makeup, the whole thing, everything, all for free for one day, where our local businesses pay it forward to survivors of family and domestic violence. And for those of you in different states and different countries, we are expanding the program and are looking for assistance. So if you are a VIP, a vaguely interested person, reach out to Rose Davidson, the president of Healing Through Love, or Sharlene Lynch, the vice president, and have a conversation with us about doing something similar like this in your state or country, because we know that we can heal the world through love. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.